court is now in session. Today, I'm presenting the case against mandatory minimums. A preview of points: what is a mandatory minimum, an example of mandatory minimums, and why the mandatory minimums are bad. What is a mandatory minimum sentencing? A mandatory minimum sentencing is a type of sentencing used in court of law. It requires an offender to serve a predefined term for certain crimes. The juries are often left unaware of these minimums, and when they prosecute someone, they cannot know that they are going away for life. Some examples: the concession statement. Mandatory minimums, their purpose is to create harsher sentences which deter criminals from committing the crimes in the first place, and they also create longer sentences, keeping the dangerous criminals out of society, keeping society safer. And criminals who are facing longer sentences are more likely to give up information about other criminals who are committing acts at the time. Some examples of people affected by mandatory minimums are Landrieu Andrade. In 1995, Landrieu Andrade stole 5 videotapes from Ontario, California in a Kmart. 2 weeks later, he stole 4 children's videotapes from a different Kmart in Montclair, California. Because of his previous stints in prison and due to California's 3 strikes law, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive terms of 25 years to life. Had he not stolen just 9 children's videotapes from a Kmart, he would not be in prison for the rest of his life. Another example is Timothy L. Tyler. He was born in 1968. His parents were divorced, and his stepfather abused him physically and emotionally. After graduating high school, he toured with the Grateful Dead band and worked with selling fried dough, drinks, snacks, and consuming and selling marijuana and LSD. His first arrest was in Panama City, Florida for LSD possession, and he was later released. A second arrest occurred that resulted in him having 3 years probation. Later, he resumed touring and sent LSD to a friend who was in prison for marijuana possession, who was an informant for the DEA. His friend asked him to continue sending him LSD sheets for 2 months, and Tyler did 5 times. In 1992, at the age of 24, he was sentenced to life in prison. Due to his 2 prior drug convictions and under the federal 3 strikes law, he was in prison for the rest of his life. These mandatory minimums are bad because they affect the harsher criminals. They affect the less harsh criminals with harsher sentences. And minorities are usually the ones more adversely affected by the harsh minimal sentences. About 38% of mandatory minimum sentencers were Hispanic, 32% were Black, and only 27% were white. And compared to other crimes, drug offenses were the highest mandatory minimum sentences in the court of law. Recap of our points: what is a mandatory minimum, examples of mandatory minimums, and why the mandatory minimum sentencings are bad. In conclusion, as Senator Rand Paul said, mandatory minimum sentences have unfairly and disproportionately incarcerated too many minorities for too long. These harsh sentences create a harsher, more unfair punishment for first-time offenders.